We see that our pre-Socratic philosophers are very concerned, very keen to acquire an understanding of the natural world as a whole, the world in which we live, the universe that's so much larger than us. They really would like to acquire some kind of a God's eye view, some sort of a way to look down from over and above and see how the diverse phenomena that make up this world all fit together as some kind of a coherent whole. That's what's behind the search for the arche. Later philosophers, and you can find this especially in Plato and Aristotle, called this the one-many problem. The pre-Socratic philosophers were concerned with a way in which to relate the one to the many, a way to make some sort of unitary sense out of the multifarious, diverse phenomena of an ever-changing world. How do we connect one with many? There are really three aspects to this problem, which we can see in various of the pre-Socratic philosophers. None of this is explicitly brought out in the fragments of the pre-Socratic philosophers, so we have to remember that part of this is later philosophers, Plato or Aristotle or us, looking back on this and trying to make sense out of their writings. But we can certainly see elements of this in their thought. As I said, there are really three aspects. I see three aspects to the one-many problem. One is the aspect of cause and effect. The arche, the idea of an arche, is a source, and certainly for some of the ancient Greek philosophers it was a source in the sense of a starting point, that from which everything begins. Everything is connected if there is some one first principle, maybe some one stuff, out of which everything that comes into existence, everything that is generated and then later destroyed, out of which all of that comes. So an ultimate cause for the various effects that we see in the world. That's a connection of the one to the many. A second way of connecting the one to the many, and maybe cause and effect is a particular type of this, is a way to see unity in diversity. If we have a single principle that connects us and allows to see relations between things that we see as distinct and different, separate from one another, a way to explain transformations, then we have something that unites the diversity of the different things that we see in the world. We have a way of connecting things that may, to the eye, initially seem unconnected and separate and therefore foreign to one another. So unity in diversity is another way in which one and many might be connected. And third, the one-many problem addresses the issue of change. How do we make sense out of change? Aristotle gives us a famous thought experiment. Suppose you have a boat, brand new boat, you take it out fishing, you use it over the course of the year, it gets hotter, it gets colder, there are storms. By the end of the year, a couple of the boards on your boat are getting worn, rotten, and you have to replace them. The next year, you have to replace a few more boards, and so it goes, and after a number of years, you have replaced every single original part of that boat. It has no more original parts. Shall we say this is the same boat, or is it a different boat? If it's a different boat, at what time did it become a different boat? Was it when the very first board was replaced? Or when 50% of the boards were replaced? Or some other time? Is it a different boat every single instant? Or maybe it's not different, maybe it's always the same. If it's the same boat, what makes it the same? Especially when all of its parts have been replaced and no original part remains anymore. So how do we understand change? How can we understand unity through change? In order for us to explain change and have an understanding of change, there has to be unity as well. It wouldn't make any sense to say, this thing has changed, such as this green leaf has turned red, okay, or the apple has gone rotten. It wouldn't make any sense for us to say that this particular thing has changed if this thing has vanished and it's been replaced by a completely different thing. So there must be some sort of sameness, some sort of unity, if we are to conceive of something as changing and still being able to identify it and relate it to the earlier thing that it was before it changed. So how do we explain that change? What's the unity in that change? What is the one through the many different states? And this is the third aspect of the one-many problem.